Hi, this is Mod Installation as Reclaiming Representational Diversity, the Role of Aesthetic Agency in Stardew Valley. I'm Sid Cook, and Bryan Semaan is my co-author. We are with the University of Colorado Boulder in the Information Science Department at the Aladala Lab. Media, writ large, is complicit in shaping normative understandings of people and thus shape people's experiences. From books to film to television, the media portrays and establishes normative understandings of people and, in turn, shapes how people are seen or experience everyday life. One such notable example for queer representation is the CW's The 100, wherein the central couple is doomed by the nature of their relationship being queer, following examples of media for the better part of a century and perpetuating the roles foisted upon those relationships. While this is a broad example of one way in which media affects perception and reinforces heteronormative logics, another example is through video games. From the hypersexualizations of female characters such as Tomb Raider's Lara Croft to more recent and racist portrayals of Scheherazade in Fate Grand Order, from racist portrayals of villains in mainstream popular gaming such as Resident Evil 5 and Call of Duty, from the damsels in distress always in need of saving, such as Princess Peach in the clutches of Bowser, to the semi-competent Ashley Graham in Resident Evil 4. All of these games, in the past and in the present, continue to perpetuate heteronormative logics that contribute toward othering marginalized individuals. Video games, however, unlike traditional media, allow for modding, which allows individuals the ability to take control over those representations and their game worlds. For our study, we have studied Stardew Valley, which is a farming simulation game made in 2016 by Eric Barone, or Concerned Ape. In our study, we focus on mod installation and aesthetic agency. The site of our research is Nexus Mods, which is a hub for mod creators to upload their mods and share with other people. At its peak, Stardew Valley had 100,000 players concurrently at the height of the COVID pandemic. Our data set, however, covers April 2016 through December 2023. Mod installation. For the purposes of this paper, mod installation is the term we will use for the colloquial term modding. In this case, this refers to mods implemented by an individual on their localized devices, like their PCs, as opposed to the act of creating a mod. And in this work, we focus on the relationship between mod installation and aesthetic agency. Here, aesthetics refers to the narratives and characters in the game worlds, both in a narrative story way and in a visual representation way. Aesthetic agency, then, is having control over the representational diversity of written and visual narratives and characterization. Our research questions are twofold. What categories of aesthetic mods exist, and how do aesthetic mods reimagine base game worlds? In our work, we argue that mod installation serves as a way through which players can reclaim their aesthetic agency over the virtual worlds they inhabit. So where is our problem? At the start of our data collection, there were nearly 10,000 mods. So how did we narrow them down? We performed 3 rounds of open coding, getting stricter and stricter about our guidelines until we had 548 aesthetic mods. We did not count mods that altered gameplay mechanics, only the aesthetics and narratives. We then performed axial coding to group these mods into 4 larger categories, which are as follows: sex and intimacy aesthetics, gender and sexuality aesthetics, racial diversity aesthetics, and body diversity aesthetics. In our sex and intimacy category, we have 2 subcategories of normalizing sex and intimacy through visibility, which can be done in Stardew Valley, which takes the profane and makes it mundane, and diversifying mainstream sex and intimacy narratives. In this case, there are multiple instances of multiple partners, multiple spouses, and changing the way individuals look. For our gender and sexuality subsection, we have sexual binaries and gender nonconformity, which can be represented through queer aesthetics, such as butchness. And we diversify cis heteronormative baselines through player sexuality and relationship structures. In this case, that would be in taking multiple partners, such as the free love mod. For our racial diversity category, we have another two: legitimizing diverse aesthetics through visibility, and building diversity into character creation and player characters. In this case, it's increasing the number of people of color in the game, whether through the character creator or through non-player characters. Our final point is body diversity. Body diversity aesthetics and Western beauty standards, and revising narratives of ageism, anti-fatness, and ableism. In this case, we have mods that increase the body size of characters and retain their desirability both in description and in implementation. Another example is in altering the ability of characters, such as introducing wheelchairs. Our discussion is twofold. Modding as identity work is our initial discussion point. So through crafting and making as a form of expression and representation, mod installers can reclaim agency not just over the digital world, but also over material consequences experienced by engaging in game worlds. Our second discussion point is implications for design, which is threefold. In order to move toward aesthetic alignment, we have to move beyond the hypervisibility-invisibility binary. In order to do that, we must design game worlds, virtual worlds, to support ontological security. We have to ask, how can we design and develop virtual worlds that capture the diversity of identities with which people identify and perform? Lastly, in order to answer that question, we need to have intentional malleability, which is to implement easier access for modding and implementation by making modding software available to the public for streamlined installation and integration.